Welcome back to Loudoun Now Sports Talk. I'm Kurt Aschermann, your host, and we are in the middle of a fascinating conversation with one of America's great sports people, Nancy Lieberman. In our first part of this interview, Nancy told us a little bit about her childhood, told us a lot about her childhood, which was fascinating. And now we're going to talk about how her career began to develop, how she began to emerge as not just a female basketball player, but as a real force in basketball in the United States. So let's start episode 2, and you're going to hear a real fun story about Muhammad Ali in episode 2. Here's Nancy Lieberman.
I want to talk about Nancy Lieberman Charities, but the reason I want to talk about it is how do you impart this story to young athletes now? The lessons from that story, Nancy. How does Nancy Lieberman Charities do that? Because you're working with hundreds and thousands of kids, right?
Yeah, we have over 5.5 million children a year in our program. And the only reason I started the charity, honestly, because, I'm them. I know what it feels like to be less than, to not have money, to think about stealing, to have tube socks.
Right.
I mean, those were some of my choices, like going into like the little candy store on Milty's. I hadn't said that in 100 years. And there was the thing of licorice, and I would steal licorice because I was so hungry.
Right.
And
So you're serving most kids from underserved areas.
they're out there, but it's not only underserved. We've sent 140 high school seniors to college. Every pillar of Nancy Lieberman Charities, children's charity, it's about being competitive.
Mm-hmm.
It's about education. It's about overcoming obstacles. And, so I talk about the charity, and we've donated, and we got a ton of programs, the Dream Court programs, which we have.
I want to ask you about that. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, they're all over the country because the concentric circle of who I am. I'm a baller. In 2026, by the grace of God, I am a baller. And if things hit the fan, I'm a mom. I'm a philanthropist. I'm a businesswoman. Mm-hmm. I'm a broadcaster. I work for the Mavericks. I do a lot of stuff. I coach in the Big Three for Ice Cube. At the end of the day, if something goes wrong, I am a baller. That is my DNA. It's to compete and to win. And it's carried me through life. And I look at these children, whether they're black or white or Christian or Jews or Muslims, it doesn't matter to me. It just matters that you're a good person. And what we do at the charity is a function of my hero, Muhammad Ali, who I fell in love with at 10, because at 10 years old, I was so broken. I didn't know if I was going to kill you, and I didn't know if I was going to kill me. Mm-hmm. And when I said at the beginning, I needed sports before sports needed me. Mm-hmm. So I followed, and I was creeping on Ali on Wide World of Sports, in Sports Illustrated, anything I can get my hands on about Muhammad Ali. And then my senior year in college, we're national champions. I'm player of the year in college basketball. We're going to win again. I'm going to be 2-time player of the year in college basketball. December of 80, I'm asked to come to New York to do an appearance for the Olympic Committee, a fundraiser, and it's being held at the New York Stock Exchange. I'm going up the escalator with my mom and my best friend, Barbara. And I said to the guy, yo, my favorite word, yo, who's the other athlete with me? And I was acting like I was bullish, but I was broken. And he goes, yeah, we're going in the green room. I said, who's the other athlete? Oh, he goes, oh, yeah, you and Muhammad Ali are the headliners. And I went, he's here? Muhammad Ali is here? And he goes, yeah, we're going in the room now. That door opened, and it was like Oprah's, with the glow. And I couldn't breathe. And my mother walks right over to him. I actually have the picture. And she comes and grabs him around the neck and goes, Mr. Muhammad, how are you? I'm Rini Lieberman from Queens. And my daughter is the greatest of all times. And he goes, look, lady, there's only one greatest of all
Greatest of all
times.
time.
And she goes, well, Mr. Ali, my daughter is the greatest. So he motions me over. I come over. I can't breathe. My head is down. And he looks at me and he says, your mom says you're good. No, Mr. Ali, like, I'm really not that good. I'm the greatest of all times. And Mr. Ali, I beat people up too. And he goes, I'm going to ask you not to beat people up. I said, but they irritate me and if they bother me, so I just beat them up. And then sometimes they have blood by their nose and stuff. And he says, Nancy, I'm going to ask you to stop hitting people. And I said, you hit people. He says, I get paid to hit people. He was the first person who had the guts to look me in the eye, where everybody was kissing my behind because I was Nancy Lieberman.
Yeah.
And basketball. And he knew that I was broken. And he knew that I had a lot going on that I had never said because had to be that tough guy. He looked at me and he says, can you come back to the Plaza Hotel where I'm staying? And I was like, yes. And I go, Mom, we're going to Plaza. Barbara, we're going to Plaza. And she goes, yeah, but you guys, I said, yeah, we could do it. So we go back to the Plaza. We get into his suite. 4 hours, I was getting a master class in, word hurts Black America, racism, the color of the skin. If you're really dark, if, people are walking on the street and you're really dark and you hear click, 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 the doors on the cars.
Right.
And how it makes people feel. And I looked at him, I go, my friends are hurting. I didn't know my friends were hurting, like Gary and Ronald and his brother. I didn't know that. What do I have to do? How can I help? Do I have to hit somebody? And he goes, Nancy, you don't have to hit anybody, but you are going to be a force of nature. You already are. And he talks to me about philanthropy and about giving. And then he talks to me about being an everyday champion. And at the end, he says, Nancy, God made you special. And I looked at him and I was so sincere and I went, you know God too? You know everybody. Is he nice? Like, what's he like and everything? And he looked at my mother and said, I need your landline number and I need your physical address because I will not let this woman go. And he said, Nancy, you're going to shake up the world for Black America and for everybody. And I said, how do you know that? He goes, because you're not afraid. And he taught me to respect everybody and fear nobody, to be the giver, not the taker. And, service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth.
That's right.
And I do. How can I help you? And so I had Muhammad Ali in my life for 37 years. Lonnie would call me and say, honey, could you come see him? I get on a plane and fly to Phoenix to be with him in Scottsdale and just sit and hold his hand and, look at books with him or watch TV. And I remember I was doing TV for Oklahoma City and Kevin Durant was there. And the night before I was leaving that night, and I said, Muhammad, who's your favorite player? And he goes, I like Kevin Durant. I'm like, you like Kevin Durant? He goes, I love him. I love his game. And I'm like, okay. So I go home. I have a game at OKC the next day. And you're not allowed to, cavort with the players. So I'm standing under the basket, even like I do their TV. And I went, Kevin. And he looks at me. I go, Kevin, I really am not supposed to be talking to you. I said, Kevin, who's your favorite person ever, athlete? And he goes, Muhammad Ali. I said, if you'll entrust me with your cell number, he's one of my closest friends. And Kevin Durant walks up to me and goes, what? I said, I was with him last night and he wants to meet you. And if you entrust me with your number, I'll give it to Lonnie Ali. And then you and her will work it out because we're playing there next week. They worked it out. I said, and now I'm very protective of Ali. And I said, no posse.
Yeah.
You bring Charlie with you, your brother Charlie. And I was no joke. And they came in, they had shoot around. He took a car to Ali's house. He took pictures with him, and he texted me that day. He goes, greatest day of my life. Thank you. And I was like, no, thank you. He meant a lot. You meant a lot to him.
Sure, of course.
And then I do TV for the Mavs, and I saw Kevin, Houston played here a couple weeks ago. So I went to see by the locker room, and Kevin says, I'll never forget that day. Thank you so much. And I said, I did it for you, but I did it for him because it made him happy.
Yeah. It's amazing how that connection got made. It's astounding. Nancy, I want to ask about the camps quickly. Can we just flip back for a second? How many of them are there now? How many camps do you run?
Well, this is going on my 46th year of basketball camp here in Dallas.
Wow.
And we've had over 350,000 kids come through our camp over time. We've had Al Horford as a camper. We've had Alonzo Mourning as a camper. A lot of young women who have gone and played in the W.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you now. Are women taking your path more and more? Things they are publicly, you only see it in terms of television and newspaper, but you were the trailblazer who had the guts to do things that women at that time were pretty hesitant about. They don't seem to be hesitant anymore. And you've got to feel good about that because you kind of were the trailblazer for that. So I'm asking, are you seeing young people with more confidence than they used to have?
Yeah. Look, I am a fan of the WNBA and players. I celebrate these young women. I don't tolerate them. I was an unpaid pioneer, back early in my career.
Right.
As I tell these incredible women, and we have, I don't know the exact number, but we got to have 10, 15 millionaires in the WNBA right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in the middle of, that CBA negotiations.
Yeah, right.
I guess unfortunately or fortunately, I think the latest thing I saw was the top salary is $1.3 million, and the bottom salary is being moved up, I believe, to $450,000. So right now there's probably $700,000 for 4 months. All the amenities, the planes, taking care of women, both women who are pregnant, and a lot of different. It still comes down to money and salary and rev share. And so many of these young women today, maybe like they have a year or two or whatever left in their career. And I know it's hard sometimes because you want it now, but you're getting yours, but you're not going to get generational wealth like the 2-year-old that we've never met, who's going to get that in 20 years, who's going to be making 10, 15 million a year. So every group has to push forward. And I appreciate, this group working hard to try and get what they feel is fair. Mm-hmm. But I also appreciate the NBA because, they're not resistant, to, bumping salaries and giving better accommodations or, here's a stipend for your house. Right. It's okay. I think one of the problems, and I read and I see people going, well, matter of fact, I saw it the other day. There was line item WNBA, line item NBA. You're setting, that's fool's gold right there. The NBA makes something like $11 billion a year. Okay. This last year was the first year ever that I think some teams made money, not all teams. It's not a girls' club. It's business. And we will get there, but we're going into year 30. And I was there as a player, the inaugural season with the Phoenix Mercury. And then I coached in the league. So I've seen the beginning. And I don't know many people who knew Abner Doubleday, who started Major League Baseball, or Abe Saperstein, who started the NBA. But to be a part of something that started, it's really, it gives me chills.
But you're not suggesting they should be calm and wait for it to happen.
God, no.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. That's not
no.
because,
These are competitive women,
yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
doing homework, and they're working hard. Negotiations are negotiations.
Right.
Somebody's going to
Right.
lowball you. Somebody's going to you're going to ask for more, and there's going to be a place. We have to play this summer. Think about it. The young people who have come into the league, I know people hate this, but sometimes even if you're the greatest player and a young kid comes in, but that young player moves the needle. I think there was Larry Bird and Magic
Magic
Johnson,
Johnson. Yeah.
and they were phenomenal and they brought attention. But then there was a young man named Michael Jordan who came to the NBA in '84, and everything changed. The ratings went up. Arenas were full. Before he got there, the Chicago Stadium was half empty. So there's going to be these generational talents who fans just connect with. And maybe it was the shot to win the championship with North Carolina. I don't know. But his fan base came with them, and high tide lifts all boats. So now you have to take your ego, because your ego is not your amigo. It's not your friend. And if somebody like Caitlin Clark or Paige Beckers or Sabrina or Angel Reese or whomever can lift us up, there's no TV deal. And I know people will hit me on this. There's no $2.2 billion coming from the NBA to the W if those young people,
Not there.
are not.
Not there. Yeah. Yeah.
No, and you can challenge me on it. It's okay. Tiger Woods, he came into golf, right? There was jealousy. There was jealousy with MJ. But the TV ratings went up for golf. The attendance went up for golf. The overall, cachet of golf, purses, went up. Thank you, Tiger Woods. Thank you, Michael Jordan. Thank you, Muhammad Ali. Thank you to the generational people who lifted us into a place where we can make millions of dollars. I know what I make, and that's because of all these young women.
I'm holding you a long time here, and I promised you that it wouldn't be this long, but the story is so fascinating. Can we just talk for a second? I want to hear about Dream Courts. How many, and Dream Courts is you go and you build a court in a community that doesn't have one, basketball court that doesn't have one. How many of those have you done?
Well, first, it's a dream court because it was my dream to be on a court. That's where I felt safe and I felt empowered.
Cool. That's cool.
And
I had no idea.
The concentric circle.
Yeah.
So when I started, like Ali, this philanthropy, be the giver, not the taker, all that service to others is the rent you pay for your time, your room here on earth. What can I do? How can I help you? I started making money and being involved, whatever, business and things like that. So that's what I knew best is having a basketball court. Well, it became a pop-up classroom. We started putting STEM and financial literacy, kids and cops. So young kids could, inherently get to know police officers without, older people, screwing up their head that they're bad people.
Very much like the Ripken badges for baseball program. Same concept.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And Cal and I have talked about that. And that's why I love the badges in baseball, I believe it's called, right?
Right.
Something like that. And what he's doing. And so we've put these courts all over. Now, we are working with Boys and Girls Club. And really, the most important part of this is you. Because we were putting our courts all over the country, and you introduced us, to Pick and to Robbie. And if you don't introduce us to them, we don't have 139 courts. We don't have 5.5 million kids a year on our courts. So everybody, we all have something to give to somebody, and you've given me more than I've given you.
No.
Seriously, you gave me a chance to grow what we were doing. I needed smarter people. You flew out to talk to my board and to try and, teach them to be better, to take pressure off of me, because I can't do it all. We need a super team, and you created a super team for us. And then with Robbie and Pick and Boys and Girls Clubs and Cal, and, all of a sudden
So
Wow. I'm
the
learning.
Robbie you're talking about is Rob Calloway. Robbie Calloway was the head of government relations at Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Was phenomenally successful at getting federal dollars to open clubs up around the country. And Pick
Like $1 billion,
is
right? Billion.
yeah, yeah, at least that. Pick is Mark Piccarilli from First Pick, which is a company that works with clubs and works with other nonprofits and kids related programs and helps attract federal funds, state funds into nonprofits in order to support their work. So there's and Robbie and I have a long-standing relationship, but I don't know if you realized it. Part of it was as enemies at Boys and Girls Clubs. We were the two competing forces all the time. And it used to be a big joke at Boys and Girls Clubs because I was out raising private dollars. He was raising federal dollars, both successful. If we'd ever really worked together, we could have raised more. Now we're very good friends, and I'm happy that they're still supporting your work and doing the work
Oh,
with you. What's
Robbie's
next?
on my board.
Yeah. What's
Robbie's on
next?
my board now. I begged him. And yeah, so that makes me happy that we're still doing, flourishing and doing, really good things for young people and education and mental health and, sending, high school seniors to HBCUs.
Uh,
We have a HBCU lecture series,
yeah, I
where we
saw that too.
kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't cure cancer. I can't, help somebody with sickle cell anemia or COVID. What I can do is take a perfectly healthy young kid who, like myself, was born in a tough environment. And, Ali taught me about love and kindness. He used to tell me, the greatest religion in the world is love and kindness.
Mm.
And that's what we try to pour into these young people. And it's amazing. And, some of them never saw me play, but oh yeah, and then I tell them, oh yeah, and I was better than Jordan, and I was better than Kobe, and they just don't have the film. But if I get it, I'll show it to you. And these guys are like,
All right,
"You're better than."
two last questions. Here's question
Yeah,
number one. MJ the GOAT?
without a doubt.
Really? You sure now?
Yep, I'm
Okay.
positive.
Uh,
I'm last dancing.
what's next for Nancy Lieberman? What's next? You got to have something else on the horizon you're doing. You've got something else that's coming down the pipe that we'll read about someday. What's next?
Well, I think it's important. We all talk about having a seat at the table, in
Right.
corporate America. And so, being on boards of, companies, equity
Mm-hmm.
companies,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm starting to do that now. And I'm starting to invest like in pro teams and especially show women. Like I just invested with the Dallas Pulse of Major League Volleyball. And then I called my friend who could pass the rock, Jason Kidd. I said, Jason, you need to do this too. His daughter plays volleyball. And then we have season tickets next to each other. And I want to help softball and I want to help, maybe it doesn't have to be big percentage, but I do want to, whether it's WNBA or NBA or, football. And, some of those things can become a reality. And you know what? God puts me where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I wake up, I'm happy. I wake up, I pray. I walk around my house, I'm thankful. I don't want to be bigger than the story. I'm just a person who's trying to do good stuff. And I still love game and I'm still competitive and I still have that dog in me. It doesn't matter if I'm playing tennis or golf or shooting with kids on my players in the big three. You got to come to a big three game. You got to meet Ice Cube.
Did I
And
read? Did I read though that TJ's on the team?
oh yeah,
Is he on the
this is going to
Dallas?
be,
I didn't realize he was on the team. Your
it's a
son.
thing. I get to pay my kid and then I get to yell at him. And it's for all parents out there. It's a thing. So here I am.
Oh, that's
I
great.
am mic'd, with CBS, and we had Twitter, X, and TJ is on the bench. He's a heck of a player. He's really good. He's not
Yeah.
on. If you know me,
Yeah.
if my kid couldn't play, I'd put him in the portal.
Right.
Okay. I love him, but he would not play for me because we're playing for championships. And, my guys are all NBA guys.
Right.
And whether Paul Millsap or, Corey
You got
Maggette
both Millsaps, don't you? Yeah.
and Greg Monroe, who's now also an assistant coach with the Pelicans, Glenn Rice Jr. You remember,
I do.
Great,
Right.
the older
I
Glenn.
do.
So, TJ was voted by his peers last year, and we lost in the semis to Miami, who won by a bucket. TJ was voted. Now, you got to remember, there's Lance Stevenson, Montrezl Harrell, Dwight Howard, all these NBA guys. They could vote for their friends, right?
Right.
TJ was voted most improved player in the
Wow.
Big Three.
Cool.
And, because he works hard. The guys love him. He has so much respect for all the players in the league. And it's an honor to coach my child because it doesn't happen often, especially for a mom coaching a son. So mom has to be at this level, but son has to be at this level. And Ice Cube, best of the best. 8 years later, I'm still with this league.
Right.
Dr. J's here, George Gervin's here, Clyde Drexler's here, Michael Cooper, Gary Payton, Rick Mahorn. I could go on and on, Hall of Famers. And we can't wait to June because we have 10 weeks to be with each other, compete. We all want to win the championship. But it's the greatest thing to be around those people every day and sit with Julius at breakfast and go, man, and he tells the story about meeting me at 14 at his camp and patting me on the head because I got MVP at his camp. My neighbor took me there and he pats me on the head and he goes, now you work hard, you'll be good one day. And I was like, okay. Then I come back with the gold medal from the Pan Am Games the next year. And I walk up and I'm wearing it. I go, Dr. J. And he goes, you were here last year. I said, yeah, I'm Nancy. And you patted me on the head. And you said I should work hard. And I did. And I made the U.S. team. And we won the Pan Am Games. And we won the gold medal. And he goes, is that real? I said, yeah, I remember you patted me on the head. And he still tells that story. And then I make the Olympic team. Again, God is good. It's, Kobe was always giving. TJ thought I died on the helicopter, by the way, because Kobe and I were texting the night before. And a Friday night I was doing TV. The guys in the studio at Fox, they're like, oh, yeah, can you believe Kobe stated a woman could play in the NBA? And I turn around and I go, I'm here, right? I'm right behind you. And Matt Bonner and I forget who else was in there. And I said, well, let's just ask Kobe. I was being kind of smug. And they're like, yeah. And I go, Kobe, they're making fun of you and he goes, who's making fun? I still have the thread. And I can't read it to you because it's laced with curses about men taking advantage and not thinking women. And he goes, well, you played for the Lakers. And I went, you knew that I played for the Lakers? He goes, yeah, I'm a historian. And we have a lesson learned in closing. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, please do it.
Do it.
Kobe and I had talked for 2 or 3 years about coming to LA and putting Gigi's team through practice. Every time we saw each other, yeah, no, I'm going to come out there, because we thought we had endless time.
Gigi is the daughter.
Yes, Gigi.
Right.
Yes. So Friday night we finished texting and it's like, when are you coming out here? And I said, well, I have TV tonight. I have to do an appearance in somewhere in California tomorrow. So next week, I am in my room at the hotel somewhere near Palm Springs. After midnight, Kobe calls me because he's chop. He's no joke. Hey, when are we going to do this? I said, well, I can do it Wednesday. And he's like, look, you fly in, you Uber to the house, we'll grab some food, we'll get on the helicopter, we'll go to the Mamba Academy. You have as much time as you want, with Gigi and the team. And he goes, and if you need me, and I go, duh, do I need you? I need you. Well, I was at an event on Sunday morning, and TJ, who plays in Europe, he had just landed in Italy, and there's about 700 people at this event. And I'm telling you, I swear to God, I put my phone on mute.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the last seat in the end, right at the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
My phone starts ringing. I grab my phone. I run out the back door, and I go, TJ, I'm at an event. And he goes, Mom, you could tell when your kid's voice is different.
Yeah.
He goes, Mother. I said, TJ, what's wrong? He says, you haven't heard. I said, heard what? He goes, Mom, Kobe Bryant died. I said, no, he didn't. I talked to him last night. He goes, Mother, his helicopter crashed, and I thought you were on the helicopter because you told me you were going to put Gigi's team to practice.
Wow.
He never knew it was Wednesday. So if this whole thing and all these stories that I made up that are not true, just kidding.
Yeah.
Please, if you say to somebody, I'm going to do it, right? You asked me to do this.
Yeah.
I'm here because,
You do it.
one, you're my friend, and I said I was going to do it. That's the most important thing that we can do in this world is show up on time, on target for people.
Well, I love you, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being on this little crazy podcast of ours, and the number of lessons that just came out of this conversation. I just wish, and Rents, the producer, and I'll talk about how we can extract the lessons in smaller pieces for high schools. We're working very closely with the athletic directors here in Loudoun County, make sure everything's okay.
Okay. So I do have one last thing.
Yeah.
I found out about 9 months ago that my friend on ESPN, Jay Harris, on SportsCenter,
right,
big, strong, healthy. He calls me one night and he goes, Nancy, I have prostate cancer. And I'm like, no, you don't. He goes, I have prostate cancer. And his wife, Stephanie, was there. And I'm like, how can this be? So it was a kick in my gut because I've heard of prostate cancer, but never knew anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so just bear with me on this because this is for all the men who are over 40, the white men, and I'm talking to your Black audience. Mm-hmm. I talked to a friend who's on the board of Prostate Cancer Foundation, and he introduced me to Gina, the CEO. And we talked during last summer's Big 3 season, and I was like, Gina, what do I need to know? He's I can't believe this. And here's what I need people to remember or write down. Get 1 in 8 men will get prostate
cancer. Right.
Okay. 1 in 6 are Black men. It's a 2.5 more rate.
Wow.
2.5 more rate.
I had no idea.
Than Black men getting prostate cancer than white men. By the time you get to 40, and I found out that so many people have it. Alonzo Mourning is a survivor. I spoke at Michael Ray Richardson's funeral 3 months ago. One of my dear friends who played in the NBA, and he had prostate cancer. So when I talked to Alonzo Mourning, I said, what do I need to know? You have to advocate for each other. You need awareness. Mm-hmm. You need knowledge. So now you have awareness. Now you're gaining some knowledge about some of the numbers I just said. And then you must get tested. If you're a guy,
PSA.
Please get rid of the thing in your head where there's that physical, digital touching. No more.
Yeah.
No more.
Yeah.
Medicine has come so far. Nobody's going to touch you. But if you get tested early, you have a 99.9% of living an incredible, healthy life. If you don't get tested, the outcome is going to be seriously different. Mm-hmm. And we need you. And for Black America, please don't be afraid. You have to advocate for yourself. You have to tell your doctor when you get your blood, it's only a blood test, by the way.
Right. That's right. I just
But,
had
you
mine.
know, like there's that list, right?
Right.
Your cholesterol, this, that, and PSA, that is your, whether I have, prostate cancer, you have to check the box. Some doctors, if it's not covered by insurance, won't check the box because they don't get money. Please, if your wife, your daughter, the women in your life, please make sure your guy's getting a blood test and they check the box. And if you're not sure, if you're nervous, if you're just not sure, call Prostate Cancer Foundation and they'll walk you through it. Or I'll introduce you to Jay Harris and he'll take you on his journey. Okay.
All right.
Well,
So
thank you.
I told you it was going to be 15 minutes. It's been over an hour, and it could go another hour easily. I so appreciate you, Nancy, for coming on, but more, I appreciate you for all you are doing for other people and the lessons you're teaching, especially young people, especially those young people you're serving in underserved communities. You're just, you're a joy, and the world's better for you being in it. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Be back in touch.
Bye.